kick off the show here.
We're agreeing.
So cleaned up.
Welcome to the Mafia Cast, part of the Buffalo Rumblings podcast and Vidcast Network. I'm your host, Papa Ron, joined as always by my fellow hosts, Mike and Casey. Today we are joined by Bills Mafia legend, Jay Spence the King. How you doing today?
You were talking about me? Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah.
I don't know what. Thank you. I don't know where that came from. What's up?
You've been here longer than us. So.
Yeah, but I mean, legend. Wow, no,
that.
that's nowhere even near close to that. But thank you.
Hey,
I'll take it because one of these days I will be. Yeah,
you gotta sell it, man. You gotta sell it.
Yeah. What's going on, Casey? Mike, how you guys doing?
Not bad. Pretty good. Long day of golf today out in the sun, but we're here ready to do the show. Excited to be here.
Celebrated a birthday yesterday. We got Casey and his their wife came out to the dirt track. We got all filthy. That was an experience for them.
That's
First time
right.
for Lauren. So
that's right. Mike's a year older than last time we all saw him.
Yeah. It's really only like a few days.
What,
but
34?
33.
33.
Wow. Yep.
Oh, you are getting old, man. You
Yeah.
are.
Young man.
Let's not talk about it. As long as I hang around Ron, I'll feel a little younger.
I missed 33.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, it's a good year.
Yeah. I'm feeling good.
Spence
I'm
on
feeling
this
good
one.
about it. It is a good year.
If I could go back to 33, that'd be great.
Have a little party this weekend.
My back wasn't messed up when I was 33. I'll go back to 33.
Hell yeah.
I go back to 23.
Oh man, I'm 28 and my back's messed up.
Yeah. Right. That's what I'm saying.
Well, it's good to be back here on the show. Glad to have you guys with us. Yeah, we kind of had this conversation earlier about the heat. And Spence, you shared with us the temperatures there in Arizona. Share that with us again. Like, what's the high for the week? The highest one on there?
For the week, I think is 118. Here, I look at, I sent it in the group chat that we all have.
Yeah.
It's 118. Today was 114, I believe. And the high is going to be 118. Actually, I just lied to you. Today was 117. So we were one away from the high. And it's been we've been over 100 consistently for, I think we're on day 16.
I couldn't imagine.
Let's note he's telling us this while wearing a hoodie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everyone's got central air, right?
Yeah, but trust me, you're outside enough too.
But doing anything outside,
I'm hoodies. I'm hoodies. Take my dogs for a walk. I'm in a hoodie and sweats.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We've been hitting triple digits here, and where I work out of our local dam now, we have to wear jeans or some sort of pants, and I hate it. I am so miserable by mid-afternoon. I can't wait for winter. I know you guys are like, hell no, I'm good with the summer, but yeah, I'm ready for a break from this.
Well, at least fall time is football season.
This is
but
true.
I gotta enjoy the sun.
No, wait.
Oh man, I mean, I told you we only get like 3 months of this here in New York, and it was a beautiful 83 degrees today. So
yeah,
everybody in New York who says it's too hot, you need to shut up.
Sweating pretty good, but it's not killing you, so it's just good for you.
Exactly.
I walk outside and pull a weed and I'm sweating.
Yeah.
But that might have more to do with being 47 and overweight. But hey. Anyways, this past week, a lot of talk about the running back market and what that looks like these days compared to years past. And I don't know if you guys saw, there was a graphic going around that was comparing the average salary of the kickers in the league to that of the running backs in the league. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
I did not.
Well, I don't remember the numbers exactly, but the running backs was like 1 point something million. The kickers was 2 something million. And I kind of brought up the point where, okay, that like the context of that is misleading to me because you're talking about third, fourth string running backs going to bring that number down. They're making the league minimum. Every team has 3 or 4 running backs. You've only got one kicker typically, and they're getting starter money. So to me, that graphic's kind of misleading. But we do want to talk about the market as it stands right now, and I'll start with Spence. And what do you think? Because I know you said something about LaShawn McCoy on Twitter earlier this week, and kind of comparing, how Bills Mafia should feel about the market and where it's headed.
Well, I think I see it. If I'm being honest, I see it from both sides. So from a business perspective, you obviously don't invest in an asset that you don't intend to keep for a long time, right? Like, so that's why Josh Allen, that's why the quarterbacks get the $250 million contracts, because yay, we want this guy to be our franchise guy. He's around for 10 years. Okay.
Right.
So I get that. The running backs, they're overused by the time they get to the NFL. They've already, most running backs, James Cook is one that he's an anomaly. It just doesn't happen where he didn't really have much, but in college, he didn't get as many opportunities. But most of these guys that are studs like this in the NFL, they come out of college already being 85% of the offense in college. They probably were the best player on their team in high school. So for 8 consecutive years already, they've already run the ball 500 times in a season. So you get to the NFL and then they use you in your prime and then they chew you up. So the problem that I have is that the contracts are 5 years, typically 4 years, 5 if it's the first rounder. You got the guy for the entirety of his prime, and he's not able to go out and make any real type of money for himself. That's the thing that I hate. So I see both sides of it. We got LaShawn McCoy on the second contract, though. So Bills fans should say, well, not all. And I know, again, LaShawn McCoy is different. A lot of people do fall off the cliff when they hit 30. He fell off at like 31. But, a lot of people do fall off the moment they hit 30. I get that. But some of these guys are 28, 27. You got 2.5, 3 years out of them. I say, I think Saquon Barkley definitely deserves a contract. Josh Jacobs gave us one great season, but I think he deserves a contract. I don't know. I get upset for the guys.
Yeah.
My argument against it has been the morality of it, not like the mortality, where Saquon Barkley was, the 40% of the Giants' offense last year, and he's going to make $11 million this year, and the salary cap is like $258 million or something like that, I believe. So he's making less than 2% of the entire salary cap, which, going year by year, that $11 million, that's going to put him in the upper echelon of running back like prices, but it's only the 1 year. So I Saquon Barkley just deserves the contract. That offense would be absolutely nothing without him. I'm sorry, Brian Daboll, but we all know Daniel Jones truly isn't Josh Allen. He's not. He doesn't elevate the wide receivers he has around him to make them that much better. So if you're going to be nothing without Saquon Barkley, wouldn't you rather just pay a little bit more, give him that money, and be in contention and try to win, and not just be like, oh well, I guess we just don't want to pitch in another $2 million. We'll just go 6-10 again. Wouldn't 10-6 or 10-7 or 7-10 be better?
Spit it out.
Sorry, yeah.
One of them.
You guys know what I mean.
I have my thoughts, but I'm going to let Mike speak here before I kind of chime in.
I don't know. It's tough because we talk about all the passing, that happens in the league, and sometimes, a lot of times, teams want to move the ball quick. If you're not breaking off 20-yard gains every time, I don't know. They're just passing the ball a lot more, right? So, that's the obvious one. You're comparing them with the kickers too, I kind of get that. The kicker's an important role on team. If you can't get a touchdown, and you have to settle for 3, you got to count on that guy. So I just really, just the way the league is now with all the passing, and there's so many decent running backs too. I feel.
I agree with 99% of what you said, because I do agree with what you're saying. Right. I do. You're 100. You are so right. But the thing is, it's like when you say it that way, it's to say it like the running backs are able to kind of be undervalued because
Yeah.
there's so many of them. And my thing is, yeah, there are so many of them, but every team doesn't have a Saquon, because if they did,
Right.
the Buffalo Bills wouldn't be struggling to get Josh Allen not lead the team in rushing. Like that wouldn't be an actual issue. And I know B is joking talking about Daniel Jones is mid. He is, and you pay this guy $40 million a year when he's not the reason why you made the playoffs. So I agree with what you said,
Yeah.
but I think it should come down to like team by team, case by case basis. And Saquon Barkley is the offense.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. And I'm not like making that my argument, but more or less just saying I kind of understand it a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of it. I think it really stinks for some of these guys, that aren't getting paid. But that's sort of I kind of just see that side of it, that way.
Here's how I can look at it, especially if you want to talk about Saquon Barkley. Put Devin Singletary in that position with the Giants and give him 40% of their offense. He probably puts up maybe not exactly similar numbers, but he's going to put up good numbers, and he's still 40% of the offense. I think that's where the problem comes in. Just like Mike, what you just said, there's a lot of good running backs in this league, and I do think there's a lot of cheaper running backs that could fill that spot for the Giants and still be 40%. I think to me that is kind of overblown. That's like saying insert anybody and say they're 40% of the offense. Doesn't mean they're necessarily good. And I'm not saying Saquon Barkley's not good because he's phenomenal. He's one of the best in the league. But there's a lot of good running backs that can fill that spot. Here's the thing that we talked about last week on the Mafia Cast show as kind of a remedy for this issue, because I do think there are some running backs that do deserve to make some money and get that bag before they hit that proverbial 27, 28-year-old wall, whatever age it is now. Do away with the rookie wage scale for running backs. Get rid of it. Put them on a tier. If you're the first and second running back taking the draft, here's your wage scale, and make it a little bit higher than that of the other guys, because typically, I think most people would agree, the running back position is one of the positions that you can come in as a rookie and typically excel at right away. It's not like quarterback where you have to develop a year or two or three, or wide receivers who most of the time, unless you're Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase, take a couple of seasons to really get going. Same thing with offensive line. Like all these other positions typically take time, but the running back can usually jump on the field and immediately have success. And for that reason, I think they should be on a different wage scale. So they have that opportunity to make some money before they hit that, again, proverbial wall.
Right. So now do we think this could be like a crutch that like teams are trying to save money and they're all just falling on that, and just taking advantage of the situation? I mean, is it really worth it? Like, why not pay these guys? Or is it like teams are right?
No,
or teams just rebuilding?
I think they're being smart financially. I think they're looking at it as a business, but as a fan, I look at it as a person-driven business as opposed to an asset-driven business. So, I'm not a billionaire, so so it's easier for me to look at these guys like, oh man, Saquon deserves. Whereas to them, they look at it as this piece is only going to be good for another X amount of years. I don't want to invest this type of funds into it. So I get it. I just don't think it's right.
See, that's what I've been like. Yeah, it's just not right. Like morally, it's like just not right. I mean, these guys are beat to death. All these running backs, and they're just tossed out after 3 years. If they're an unrestricted free agent, I mean, it's what I think it's 2 years guaranteed. Like as a rookie coming in, like Isaiah Pacheco. I mean, he's the one that everybody's blaming for this because the Chiefs go out and won a Super Bowl with a 7th round running back. And so everybody's like, oh, well, maybe we can do that. But you also like these teams also don't have Patrick Mahomes, so Isaiah Pacheco isn't
or Andy Reid.
Yeah, or Andy Reid. So like he's not the main point of that offense, which makes him so like that effective in my opinion.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's been my argument.
Which is why these guys aren't getting these big contracts like they did back in the Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith days, because they're not the focal point of the offense anymore. They only get 10 to 15 carries a game on average. Now, again, with somebody like Barkley, but it's all in the style of offense. I mean, even take the Ravens or Tennessee and insert, again, I'm going to use Singletary because a lot of people, he's not considered one of the top tier running backs, but for people that have watched him play, I think we all can agree he can probably excel in a run-based offense. So if you plug him into those, maybe they're not as good, but they're still going to be effective. I mean, Singletary averaged 4.7 yards per carry for his career 5 years in, behind a suspect offensive line for his entire career on an offense that will not geared to run the ball. I think you use Pacheco as an example. I'm going to use Singletary as an example as well. That you can plug almost anybody into that spot and be successful still.
So that's an argument against or for not paying the guys, maybe.
Well, that's why they're not getting
Right.
paid.
But the
Yeah.
reason they deserve it is because it's so short term sometimes, right?
Yeah,
And
there
they
are
just
some guys
they
like
just
Roy
get away
Collins
with it.
mentioned here with McCaffrey.
Right.
If your offense is built around them and they put up these types of numbers, then by all means they should get paid. Um, Saquon Barkley should, yes, probably get paid. But my argument is just for the position as a whole and why the market as a whole is falling down because the position can be filled by just about anybody except maybe the four of us. I don't know. Spence, you might be able to step in. You let me
No,
know.
I mean everything that everybody is saying, I'm agreeing with. I just look at it kind of. I think the way Casey was trying to explain it is how I look at it, where it's like, it depends on the teams because yeah, we talk about the Super Bowl winning teams, but the Super Bowl winning teams didn't need Saquon because they had Patrick Mahomes. Prior to that, you had Tom Brady. You had the last few Super Bowl winning quarterbacks or teams had great quarterback play. So it's to the point where the running backs aren't needed. If the Giants are going to sniff the Super Bowl this year, they're not going to do it without Saquon Barkley. They have Daniel Jones at quarterback. They're not going without Saquon Barkley. So I'm saying it's based on the team for me, but I get it around the league. I mean, this makes sense. I think I agree with Roy. Christian McCaffrey but see, I think Saquon Barkley is one of those guys that fits in the same category as a Christian
Absolutely.
McCaffrey and Derrick Henry. And there's probably 5 or 6 guys in the league that I would look at and I would say they're in this conversation with Chris. I think Christian McCaffrey is the best running back, but there's a handful of guys that I put in the category with him, and Saquon is one.
Right. Just like the quarterback, those are the guys that can make or break the team.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is messed up. That's messed
Casey,
up.
you have a new doppelganger. Cody Ford.
I bet you I'm a better guard than he is, though.
Oh,
man.
man.
You better
Roy
watch what you
brings up-
say, Case.
Roy brings up another point here, and I did kind of think about this early in the week too. But are you guys at all concerned about the fact that kids growing up not wanting to be running backs, so the level of talent at the position kind of dwindling as well? Maybe the days of Saquon Barkley, Bijan Robinson, if you want to throw him into that category, Derrick Henry, maybe those days are few and far between going forward because of this reason. What do you guys think?
That was my initial thought.
I was thinking of that.
I was like, then now, nobody's gonna want to play running back in high school. Everybody's gonna see the money's at corner, defensive end, quarterback, wide receiver, and everybody's gonna be trying to focus on there if they really want to get paid and make it in the league. Which but there's always gonna be a running back, in the game of football. So someone's gonna be forced to do it. So no matter what, it's the talent's always gonna be funneled in, which is not an issue, but it doesn't help. It doesn't help solve it because no matter what, there's always going to be talent coming in at that position.
Right. Some kids' body sizes, you got to be a running back because you're not built to be a receiver.
You're
at some point, you're not going to have a
5'6".
choice, but definitely that has definitely been on my mind.
This just reminds me when I was a kid. Of course, I grew up watching Barry Sanders, Thurman Thomas, Emmitt Smith, those guys. I wanted to be a running back. That was my goal, was to be a running back. And I went even so far as to put ankle weights on and then just run. And my buddies would try to tackle me. And yeah, we probably look like fools out in the front yard doing that. But I just don't see
fun.
guys. I don't see kids doing that nowadays. I see them kind of mimicking the Jamar Chases and Jeffersons and all of those, and looking at the running back position like, yeah, I don't want to do that. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Everything could come back around too. Maybe the league changes somewhere down the road, and it all circles back to the running back position again.
I agree with you wholeheartedly there, especially about when we were younger. Everybody, I wanted to be Thurman. I wanted to be, somebody running the ball, because that was the cool, it was the cool position. You juke everybody out, make everybody look silly. And, now you're right. It's either a quarterback because they're in love with Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, or they're the
Yeah.
receiver doing the one-handed catch like Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, I mean, it's the big
Everybody
time
wants to do the
flashy
one-handed.
plays. Yeah.
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 Sarah said today was talked about the NFL having this compensation pool for people who outplay their contract and they get a really nice bonus, maybe up that for running backs. I think it's a great idea. Maybe put it as a part of contracts that if you hit a certain, make it more incentive based, perhaps.
Mhm.
I don't think that's exactly what Sarah's saying with that, but that could be one way. Like if you do hit these moments in the season statistically, then despite even if you're at the wage scale, the rookie wage scale, you can still earn more based on performance.
But it's got to not come from the team, though. It has to be set by the league. It's got to
Right.
the league has to set that
That's
so
like-
it's even across the board to where
Yeah.
if your rookie running back hits 500 yards, he gets an additional $500,000. Just throwing numbers out there, but that's the only way it'll be fixed is if it's just blank across the board. It can't be left up owner to owner. Otherwise, Dan Snyder happens all over again.
Hey, Dan Snyder ain't happening nothing anymore. He's
Thank
officially
God.
out.
My wife is so excited being a Washington fan.
Let me ask you guys really quick. As far as the different positions, like Sarah mentioned, the different positions cycling around. Do you guys have a preference of the style of the NFL? I guess that you prefer. Like I always look at the old school days. For me, the old school being late '80s and '90s, and I think, man, I miss those days. Football was so fun. The game is still fun now, but there was just something different for me back in those days of watching the Joe Montanas and the Killers and Marinos. I just don't get that feeling now. So if I could go back to those times, I would love to. But what do you guys think? Do you prefer the current style, or would you like to see more of the older style football? I'll start with Spence.
I think I'm with you. I like the early 2000s, but the late 80s and early 90s were like I miss the hits. I miss just the ground and
Ronnie
pound.
Lots.
That's certainly
Yeah.
changed. Yeah.
But the early 2000s to me, I feel like was like the perfect blend of what we have now in the 90s. Because I feel like you still had teams coached by Rex Ryan that loved to run and play solid defense. But then, you were starting to see the Tom Brady led offenses that got Randy Moss for a season. And you started to see, Peyton Manning be incredible. And so you started to see multiple teams turn into the high octane powered offense. And then this was right before they took out they put in a defenseless hit on a defenseless receiver.
Yeah.
And this was before the 15-yard penalties for, I don't know, like now you laugh at somebody wrong and you get a 15-yard penalty. And so it was before that, but it was so no, that was the best time for me.
What about you, Mike?
I kind of agree with that. And I've always kind of felt like you got to have like a well-balanced game. Like you can't have one without the other. You got to have running and passing to balance each other out. But obviously that's a wrong take because you see numerous teams doing it without running the ball as much.
Yeah.
But always, the ground and pound and like Spence was saying, the high impact hits and, the game's just not like it used to be. And it was an exciting time to watch football. Unfortunately, some guys got pretty banged up, so it's a good thing that there is, these more safety rules involved. But man, it was quite a time to watch football. But yeah, you got to have a balance. You got to have running, you got to have passing, and you can't do one without the other.
So I'll be different, and I mean, growing up, that this is pretty much what I know. The early 2000s, that's when I started learning and the Bills, becoming a real fan, 6, 7, 8 years old. But the beauty of today's game, just the way the plays quarterbacks can make, and just basically having the same brain as their wide receivers, and just a play breaks down. You see it with Gabe and Diggs and Knox. And just the way that they just move around the field with Josh, it's just so like not. It's so pretty to watch, but I miss the hits, like the early 2000s hits. I mean, I'm glad we got Vontez Perfect out of the game. I mean, he was. I mean, that was he was dangerous. I mean, that he wasn't
Yeah.
playing football. He was
No,
going
you
out
don't
to
want that. Yeah.
um, but the Troy Palomalus, the Brian Dawkins, the Ed Reeds, like that, just that toughness, Ray Lewis, Takeo Spikes, all those guys just brought just a toughness on the field. And like if you ran into him, you were probably going down, not him. So like that's what I miss. Like the pure physicality of it, the hard hits, the big hits. But the beauty of like today's game is like to me is just so aesthetically pleasing. I love it. It's so fun to watch.
It's like poetry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also
Poetry, emotion.
I also didn't get to see the 80s and 90s like the true ground and pound and play hard nosed defense and run the football and control the clock.
See, I wouldn't even say necessarily the 80s and 90s were like true ground and pound. I think you have to go back to like the 60s and 70s for the actual true ground
Well,
and pound.
yeah.
I think the 80s and 90s was kind of that transition of perfection between the two, that balance, and it went through the 90s. And to what Spence was saying a while ago, I think when Peyton Manning came along and he had Harrison and the other guy's name is
Reggie Wayne.
Reggie Wayne, and then you had Manning with Moss. There was starting to be that gradual change to the passing game, and you saw it in the college football first when they started spreading everybody out and going with that up tempo, and then that just transitioned into the NFL as well. So we're going to move off of that topic because we are way behind already. But this is something that Casey wanted to kind of talk about. Hypothetical trades. I'm going to tell you right now, I am not good at this because I'm terrible with values. Like I said pre-show, you've had wide receivers going for first-round picks, and you've had wide receivers going for fifth-round picks. Everything in between. So it's going to be interesting. But Casey, what do you got?
Well, I'm going to let Mike take this one because he's been teasing me all week about his trade. So I want to hear what he's got to say.
All right.
It's not necessarily like a specific trade, but it's something I definitely brought to Casey's attention because it definitely interests him and involves a player that he really likes. It was a new acquisition for us actually. So I saw like one or two articles earlier this week talking about our guy Latavius Murray, who we just signed, and possibly being trade bait. And so now you're thinking of the running back situation we were kind of talking about, Saquon Barkley, and also the Dalvin Cook thing, which I don't see that happen, but something along the lines of maybe a team could use him and can't really afford the top running back right now. Maybe him and a pick or a decent player to the Giants for Saquon or something like that. But one of the articles might have said Cook, and I really don't see that happening.
Please no, please not James Cook. Unless, I mean, if it's for Saquon Barkley, I think I'd part. I think I'd let it happen.
Right.
Would
so
you?
just to Phil Spencer, I don't know if you
I wouldn't be thrilled about it, but like I'd we got Saquon. Like I'd be like it would be probably the most 50-50 I'd be on a trade in a while. And I love James Cook. I freaked when we drafted him. So I mean it would really do something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think 1 year of Saquon with Josh would be, that's like LeBron and Wade, like that's when. But at the same time, 1 year, 2 years of Saquon, we still got.
But I would expect us to.
But if it gets it done,
I would expect an extent. If we were trading for him, we would be. There's just no way Bean wouldn't extend him somehow, some way. I feel like for 3 years. I mean 2-3 years.
Well, but how long is it? Because remember, we extended Shady, and we've got 3 years, 2.5 years out of Shady.
2.5, yeah.
He hit a wall, and I know Bills fans were upset when they cut him, but they were right. He every team he played, every roster he was on after that, he was a decoy. He wasn't Shady anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So is Saquon? Do we want Saquon for a 3-year? But this is the question that the Giants have. So even me as a fan now at the top of the show, we're saying like, man, it's unfair. Give him the contract.
Yeah.
But then in the same breath, I'm sitting here saying like, well, if he comes to the Bills, would I want to extend him?
Yeah.
It's a real conversation. I want my money going to me. I get me another receiver for Josh.
Yeah.
Get me somebody else on the offensive line for Josh. Like protect my quarterback.
Right.
Build that lineup and get me receivers.
Here's one I'll throw out at you guys because this is one that I've seen pop up on various timelines here and there. Trading for Cooper Cup.
God, bad
What do you
word.
think that? What do you think that would look like?
You like that?
Oh, that would have to be. So I was looking into this earlier, and part of it for me was sending out Mitch Morse and getting Cooper Cup, and like sending out Mitch Morse and draft picks and getting Cooper Cup back in return.
What draft picks? Just some.
It would be, yeah, I'd probably
One or two.
a third and a first and
second or third,
a fourth, something like that.
What do you think, Spence?
For Cup, you're looking at 2 firsts.
Like
they're gonna ask for it.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I don't know if I would do it.
But I mean, is Cooper Cup worth it? 31 years old, Triple Crown winner 2 years ago. No,
not the way now. Every year, man, the guys that are coming out, like next year, you're gonna get Marvin Harrison Jr. For a first round draft. You got 5 years, where you're gonna have him on a deal for $3 million a year. Like,
which brings up, now you're starting to kind of get into the running back conversation where you've got dozens of talented wide receivers. Maybe you don't need to pay 20 million, 15 million anymore for an OBJ or a Hopkins. You can get somebody on a rookie deal for, whatever. So now you kind of get back into that whole thing. Do the contracts for the wide receivers starting to come back down?
Well, we thought that's what Tennessee was doing until they signed DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, that was the whole reason why they got rid of AJ Brown. They didn't want to pay him. They got the draft pick and got the hire and got the wide receiver. And then they're like, nope, we're signing an older DeAndre Hopkins instead of AJ Brown.
It's so weird.
I don't understand it.
So could we agree that it'd be more worth it for us to pay Saquon than the Giants? Because they're not, even with them, they're not going to do it, right?
No, I think it's
so,
more worth it. I think it's more worth
team.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's more worth it for the Giants to do it.
Yeah, because he's going to get 10 to 15 carries here in Buffalo. They're not going to be a running team. I don't care who's in the backfield. As long as we've got Josh Allen, they're going to throw the ball. So to pay any running back 10 plus million,
I don't know,
just doesn't make sense to me.
They're going to throw it, but you figure Josh, whether it's a scramble or it's design, Josh gets 5 carries a game. Now with a Saquon, Josh doesn't have to run at all unless the play really breaks down. So you take 3 of those carries away from Josh, and then you take away the jet sweep from McKenzie. You take away, like the 2. You take away that screen to Stephon Diggs that we really don't want to throw anyway. Heck yeah.
Is it we don't want to, or we don't know how to?
What's that?
Throw the screen, because that was a big topic during the season last year where, we just don't know, like we can't run screens. We don't know how to run the screen. It was like, did we not know how to, or could we not because of the offensive line that we had?
I think it could be both, but I just, to me, it's frustrating because, I watch the 2020 season and we were so efficient with screens. We were so efficient. Now, John Brown was a big part of that.
Yes.
We don't have the same receivers that we had. Like John Brown was very good at it. He would catch the ball, 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage and break it for 20 yards almost every single time. We don't have the same kind of guys, but look, we were good at it, and we have a completely different offensive coordinator. He actually did switch the offense, and it was still successful. So I don't know. I think he grows this year. So I think we can do it. I think we will do it. I think Kincaid helps that a lot. But man, I'm telling you, if you guys get some time and you just like just on some board stuff, man. Go back and watch that first season that we got Diggs. Like from the very first game, man, Josh was different. It was so different. In the offense, the ball was flying out of his hands. It just popped. It hit receivers in the chest every time. Like, go back and watch that season. It was such a fun season. And it's like that's the offense that I think that we need, man. And then once we're talking, you do a doggone, you talk about Saquon or a running back like that. Please give me, oh my God, man.
We got to keep moving up, right? We start playing at that level. Now we got to stay there.
RJ brings up a good point here. Maybe it's the issue is actually with Allen because teams do typically play mobile quarterbacks differently. They typically want to try to contain them, so the edge defenders go up the field as opposed to going in and trying to collapse a pocket. And so maybe that's part of the issue as well. I think something like Trent Sherfield will help because he is a good blocking wide receiver, and I think you need that on the outside of some of those screens to help out. Hopefully, Khalil Shakir can step up in that role. Some of the stuff I heard last year was one of the things he struggled with was in the blocking. But I just actually I did an article earlier today talking about 5 reasons Josh Allen's going to win the MVP this year. But one of them was a year in Dorsey's system. If you go back and you look, Nyheim Hines brought it up, and there was another player too that had mentioned this. And then I found a quote from the running back, the Bills running back coach, talking about the complexity of Dorsey's scheme and his play calling. It's not that easy. And I think with these players having a full year in this system now, I think they're going to have a better understanding of it. I think we're going to see Nyheim Hines used a lot more in the passing game than we've seen. And Mike Casey, I've told you guys this before, bringing up the comparison of Jerick McKinnon. His first year with the Chiefs, he came into the season, I think 3 or 4 weeks in when they got him. So 13 games, he had 12 carries, 20 targets for the whole season, 1 touchdown. Then we know what he did last year, sets the running back record for receiving touchdowns. I think we're going to see something similar with Nyheim Hines. And I think this offense does take a next step because they are more familiar now and more comfortable in Dorsey's system. And I know Dorsey's going to, let me rephrase that. I hope Dorsey learns from some of the things that he did last year. And I'm sure he probably went back and I'm sure they all sat down and looked at game film and said, okay, we could have done this differently. Hey, let's implement this and do this and whatever. Because you think about it, and Sarah's mentioned this on her show before, Dorsey was a rookie OC, not just with the Bills, but in his life. He's never been an OC at any level. So, like any rookie, he's going to develop. He's going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
I got no comment.
Go ahead.
I got no comment.
I can hear it bubbling. Just go ahead.
It was.
Yeah. What's on your mind?
So, I mean, PFF had Dorsey rated as the 5th best OC. Do you guys truly believe that he's the 5th best OC in the game? Or is it just the team that he has?
Well, I don't think you're going to find any OC that's going to have high numbers, top 5 anything without a good team. I can't think of any examples right off the top of my head, but let's look at Washington. They got no quarterback. They have Terry McLaurin. I thought they had a running back, but it seemed like the coaching staff doesn't really know how to use them. You play, and we're going to see that this year with Eric Bieniemy. He leaves KC, and I think that's a big reason why he hasn't got a head coaching job is because of Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. We all heard a lot of the same thing with Daboll when he left. Well, is it Josh Allen? Is that the reason why Daboll was able to do what he did? Well, no. We're finding out that he's a pretty damn good coach. We might see the same thing from Bieniemy, maybe we don't. But I completely lost my train of thought. I don't know where I was going with that, but
I do that all the time.
Yeah. But anyways,
we were talking about, Casey asked if we thought that he was really a top 5 offensive coordinator, and then the conversation was kind of going from there. I don't know if that helps or not. If not,
it does.
Whatever. I'm sorry.
I'm struggling to try to figure out.
To answer the question directly, I would say top 10. I don't know if I'm ready to say top 5 just yet. Let's see what this season looks like, but I'd say top 10 for sure.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not prepared to put him in the top half of the league yet. I think the fact that we have Josh Allen with Stephon Diggs, with Knox and whoever else you throw out there at receiver, Gabe or whoever at the time. I just think that Josh Allen makes things happen. If you go back and you look at last season, Josh played Superman every single week. Like there were even the weeks that we blew teams out. Yeah, the scoreboard looked like it was we blew teams out, but I'm telling you, it was because Josh Allen is just simply that amazing. It wasn't because the plays made it so easy for guys to walk in it. Man, there were games that I watched again from that one season that we were just talking about, where Dabo designed it up where guys literally walked into the end zone. Josh Allen caught a touchdown in the freaking playoffs, man. Like it's like just the easiest thing in the world. So it was different. Now, Josh Allen he's pushing this offense. He's willing this offense. So I like him. I think he's going to get better this year. I know we had the number 2 offense in the league, but I don't think he's a top 5. Good Lord, no.
Would you say Dayball was?
Oh yeah, Dave. To me, offensively, Andy Reid, Shanahan. I don't know if there's anybody else right now offensively that I would put over Brian Daboll. Like he's insane, dude. Like he's really an incredible offensive mind.
So if you look at last year's numbers compared to or 2022 versus 2023, they're very, very similar between
Mhm.
Dayball. So what is it that separates Dayball from Dorsey? If Allen made Dorsey, then is you could say the same the other direction as well.
Well, Ken
Yes,
Dorsey has to prove that, he'd have to go through the same process as Dable to see what he would do elsewhere. Right.
and I get your point. I mean, when we're talking, just if we're going to talk surface level on it, yes. But I think you always have to try to provide some context. I think Josh Allen became as good as he is because of what he learned under Brian Daboll. So I think the play design, I think the way he designed plays to where it taught Josh Allen, okay, at this point of the play, when it develops here, then you want to be here. Like this is where you're. So I think just what he learned from Daboll has helped him just to be a better quarterback going forward, period. And then I think, I could have been the offensive coordinator for Tom Brady and won a Super Bowl. So, and I'm not
I mean,
saying that to
Belichick
say that,
did.
but you get what I'm saying. So, and I'm not saying
Yeah,
that to say that
that's fair.
that Dorsey was bad. I don't think he was bad. Again, we had the number 2 offense in the league, but I think a good portion of 70% of that was the fact that we have Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs on offense.
Yeah.
Now we say
Go ahead.
you go ahead. I was just wondering, Casey, are you saying he's a top 5? You think so?
No.
No,
I
you're
was
just wondering
arguing.
what we're thinking.
Yeah, I was arguing against it. I
Right.
mean, just
So
the numbers may look similar of over the last 2 years, but personally, like just the eye test, I think we can all say that at points last year, that offense looked. I mean, it got stagnant. I mean,
Yeah.
it looked like. I mean, if we couldn't run a comeback, if we couldn't run a fly, we had nothing. There was a lot of vertical passing. There wasn't a lot of horizontal passing. There was not many plays of Diggs and Davis running across the field away from the defense. A lot of it was running up and at them and making them push up against us to see whether we're going to go deeper come back. And so it just the numbers were great because we had explosive plays, especially early on in the year. But at the end of the year, I mean, teams just started to run too high safeties, and we couldn't go deep. And so the offense just ran out of gas. Dorsey did not have an answer at the end of the year, and but that's going to be the growth going into year 2 from not being a rookie. Okay, so they completely shut us down with cover 2. So how am I going to get these guys open? It wasn't on the players, it was on Dorsey.
Well, and I'll just add to that though. We saw some of the replays where there were guys underneath open, and Allen just wouldn't throw it.
Yes.
Why is that? That's not Dorsey. And I'm not advocating for Dorsey as a top 5. Like I said, I think maybe top 10. And I do think there are some areas where he can grow. And to your point, Casey, that being changing things up. Like when we watch Chiefs play, freaking Travis Kelce is open all the damn time. It's so frustrating. And that's not because he's good. Don't get me wrong. But you don't think the defenses aren't trying to stop him? They are. But the Chiefs are really good about scheming guys open. That's the part of Dorsey's game that I think needs to improve because of the cover 2, because of the bracketing that we saw on Diggs. But there were a lot of times too when that was Allen's decision to go deep and not hit the guy underneath that was open. And I also think Jamison Crowder injury early in the season completely changed what their plan was.
Mhm.
That just wiped out their plans for the slot position. And I'm hoping Khalil Shakir is that answer this year. But we'll see how that goes.
I
But
agree with you 100%. But
That gets
the
me
only
thinking
thing,
about a topic. But
well, real quick, the only thing that I would add to that, or I would say, is that when you talk about the difference of the two, like Dorsey, I think it's one of those things where, like, because somebody, I think it was Mike or Walter in the comments, said that Dayball even got too much credit. I don't think that he did. And they he brought up 2018, and he was talking about how Allen was terrible. Allen needed growth, and guess what they did? Dayball was smart enough to develop an offense around an undeveloped Josh Allen, and then when Josh Allen took a step forward, he built an offense around an underdeveloped Josh Allen. And then when Josh Allen was developed, so I think Dayball deserves all the credit in the world, because every year he made the most out of whatever roster we had. And then you go over and you look at what Dayball is doing in New York, dude. Daniel Jones got 40 bills. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
he got 40 bills. Like his account is sitting nice right now
After them
because
not picking up his 5th-year option.
you see what I'm saying? And it was the scheme, and it was the genius of what Brian Daboll. He makes every player on his offense, he gets the best out. Like he just squeezes that little bit of, like, he made Isaiah McKenzie. Never mind.
Say it, preach, please, because I have the same opinion.
I think we all
It's
share
like
that one.
the year that he really used Isaiah McKenzie as a weapon. That's what got Isaiah McKenzie that additional contract with us, because he was this jet sweep king, and he was like this gadget player that he ate New England alive twice, and he just Brian Daboll. He's not going to do that in Indiana. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. You will not see Isaiah McKenzie
Yeah.
eating. He is not. I'm gonna just tell you, he's not who we thought he was. He's not.
do you think is that part of the reason he's not here anymore, because Dayball's gone and the way
Yeah.
Dayball was using him, right?
Absolutely. I'm shocked he didn't go to the Giants, to be honest with you.
I was just watching
me too.
week 6 from last year earlier before we got on, so I was seeing plenty of McKenzie in that game. He had it rough. He had it rough, man. They were on him.
We're gonna go ahead and transition from this before Spence has a fit.
Sorry.
Where's my weed?
One of the for everybody who's listening, whether it's on the live show or the podcast later on, one of the things that we want to start doing on the show is getting some feedback, some questions and comments from our listeners that we can discuss pre-show, or not pre-show, but the beginning of the show. I think that'd be a lot of fun to answer questions, talk about whatever comments you have. One of the things, and this was not posted online, but my neighbor, who's a Chiefs fan, he roots for the Bills when it's not the Chiefs, so he's a really good friend. He brought up the question that from when he watches the Bills, the one guy on the field on the defense that stands out for him is Matt Milano. That to him is the best defensive player the Bills have. So it kind of got me thinking, because we have a lot of guys that could fit that spot. We can put in Poyer or Hyde or Miller into that. So I just want to hear from you guys what you think about, is Matt Milano the best defensive player on the Bills roster? I'll let you start, Casey.
I think he is. I mean, at this point in time, he is. We don't know what Von is going to be coming back, and we all have hopes that he's going to get back to 8 sacks and whatever it was, 10 weeks with us next year. But we don't know if he's going to start on the pup, if he's going to be ready week 1. Tre'Davious White, see how he does in his second year out from the ACL injury. If he can get back to the way he was, he can definitely be thrown in that conversation. Jordan Poyer, as always. I mean, all-pro Poe. But somebody to look out for this year, I mean, if he takes that true step, would be Groot. I mean, if he can solidify himself as a number one opposite of Von Miller or Leonard Floyd, we assume is going to take the void until Von gets back. If Groot can step up and get 10, 12 sacks a season, then hey, he might be it. He might be the answer. But at this point in time, it's got to be Milano.
I mean, it's hard to argue that. He's healthy, but other than that,
Yeah.
I'd say, our secondary, obviously. Poyer Hyde, right up there. We still want to see more from Trey right now. And yeah, I'm with you on the Groot thing too. I'm all for it.
I'm just shocked that
Let's see him
nobody's
just
saying
break up.
like, obviously health. But if Von is healthy, like Von is by far the best defensive player we have.
Yeah,
Like
right, healthy.
Milano, he's an all pro now, so I'm gonna put some respect on his name. But um, it's he deserves all the love he gets. This is not coming from a place of hate. I love him. He deserves every single bit of it. He is a ball hawk. The way he continuously stops guys behind the line of scrimmage, like running backs, he's insane. He's incredible. So, but it amazes me how quickly he's grown in the hearts of Bills Mafia. Like everybody loves Matt Milano. Like I don't think I know a person who doesn't love Matt Milano, and I think that's great, and he deserves that. But on defense, man, I don't know, man. Like we have a team full of studs. Like Teron Johnson just might be the best at his position in the entire NFL.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Teron Johnson is a stud, dude. Like I don't think Bills Mafia truly, like, I know some of us do because we're a very smart fan base, but I'm saying, like, I don't think we really appreciate just how much like Teron Johnson is like the glue to this that dude is incredible, man. Incredible. So I don't know. My vote will go with Teron.
Which
All
is
right.
why
And
we
you're
see the
talking about-
4-2-5.
Yeah. So you're talking
Yeah.
more like the key player scheme fit than, may not be the player with the most stats or, the highest rated player or the longest playing player.
I think that they
like
don't
that.
rate him properly because I think Teron Johnson,
Right.
like, I don't even know his Madden rating. I got to look that up, but
I think like only an 84.
Yeah. Low 80s.
I know we're biased, we're Bills fans, so I'm gonna be like, man, all
That's
of them are
trash.
95.
No,
But I
that's
mean,
trash.
like,
Yeah.
but honestly, when it comes to him, man, like that dude, I'm telling you, you're not gonna find a better nickel or slot corner in the league.
I mean,
You're
it's
like-
he and Kenny Moore. I mean, those are the only two. Like, those are the top two. And I would
And I'm
say,
picking him.
not being biased, I'm gonna take Teron Johnson over Kenny Moore. Teron's much more physical than Kenny is. Kenny's very good in pass pro, but Teron just can. I mean, he bulldozes people.
I think
Yeah.
this is his year. I think this is the year that he gets his like all pro nod and all that stuff. I think I think just like last year was Matt's. I think this is the year for Teron.
That'd be
All right.
sweet.
I think one of the reasons why the Bills Mafia probably adheres to Milano so much is the fact that he's taken a couple of pay cuts and taken less money to stay with the team, and that resonates with Bills Mafia and the blue collar mentality. Sarah says Milano was great with Edmonds on the field. It makes it to me. Maybe I'm misreading that, but she's saying that Milano is going to struggle without Edmonds on the field this year. Am I reading too much into that? What do you guys think?
I think you might be reading a little too much into it. I don't think she's saying that he won't be, but
Right.
I think from what we've seen, we've absolutely seen Milano struggle at times that Edmonds wasn't on the field. The Vikings game comes to my mind first off the top. We were up by multiple touchdowns when Edmonds was in. Shout out to my guy. I miss you, dog.
Oh.
Shout out to Tremaine Edmonds.
Yeah.
But when he went out the second half, it was a tragedy.
Yeah. Well, but we've seen the defense fall apart when Milano's come off the field too, and Edmonds is still out there.
Yeah.
I think the two work beautifully in tandem. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do with this season. There's one other thing here. There was a question in here that somebody brought up, and I wanted to. Oh, here it is. If Groot doesn't get double-digit sacks in season in his rookie contract, do you give him a second contract?
Well, we
Depends
still
on
got
his snaps, right? How many
Real
snaps is he
quick.
playing?
Because I'm gonna forget because my mind is like that. Can I real quick? I don't know. Let's not be throwing dirt on Tremaine like that. I feel like Tremaine, he held the defense together. Like I'm trying to think of because I think of a time when Matt Milano went out and then AJ Klein won Defensive Player of the Week. So I don't know. Like I feel like I remember AJ Klein like kind of being that guy when Matt Milano went. I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But I'm just saying, when Tremaine went out, I guarantee you, Bills Mafia will miss Tremaine Edmonds. I guarantee you.
Oh, I don't
We're on
disagree with that at all.
the
I
same
don't.
brainwave.
But sorry, I just had to throw that
No,
in there because
so
y'all be
do you
throwing
guys
shade
think
on my
that?
guy Tremaine.
Do you guys think that Bills Mafia got a little bit more love for Milano this year because A, he got that All Pro nod, and B, Tremaine left? Like, do you think they're like, all right, like Milano's our guy? You know, like they're like everybody's like, screw Tremaine, like we have Milano. Like, do you think like that kind of boosted him a little bit more?
I think in the way that Milano has stayed, like I said, he's taking less money to just to stay in Buffalo because he wants to finish what they've started here. He wants to continue to be a part of what they're building, and Edmund apparently didn't. He wanted to get paid, which is fine. But yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I think, like I said, the blue collar mentality of Bills Mafia fits with Milano. Um, so I think the Bills fans kind of fall in love with that a lot. And not saying that I don't appreciate that. I remember when he was a free agent or pending free agent, and everybody's like, "Oh, he's gone. He's taken huge money to go play
Mm-hmm.
elsewhere." And then next thing you know, he signs for I mean, it's still millions, but
Yeah,
um,
Right.
It
so
was pocket change compared to what he could have got in that open market.
he'll go
yeah.
down as one of the all-time favorite players.
Oh
Oh,
yeah, I
absolutely,
agree.
absolutely.
And just to add to what
Especially
you're saying, he deserves it though. It's not like I don't think it was because of the contract. I don't think everybody loves him because he took less. I don't think they love him because I think he deserves it. Like
Just the pure effort he puts in.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like
oh yeah,
I
for
don't think
sure.
I've ever seen him take a playoff. You know what I mean? He's one of the nice. If you ever get a chance to meet him, he's one of the nicest guys.
He plays the
All the
whistle.
women
I
love
know
him. Yeah, he plays through the whistle.
that. Yeah.
He plays through the whistle every single time. And like I said, so he's good with kids. The community loves him. He does a lot of charity for Buffalo. He's quiet. He's never in the media, ever in the media. And then like I said, women think you're hot. It's over. Like it's over.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The
We were
Bills
talking
Mafia
about-
babe,
I know.
they got
I
a
got-
poster of him.
I got to
Yeah,
throw
it's
this in. Casey and I just got to throw this out there. We were chatting about Milano one day, and I was telling him he looked like Milano off Wish.
What's
Wait
up
a
with
minute,
this
not
today?
off
Why
Wish.
is everybody? Why is everybody?
I just remember that. I said that in text. It was funny.
Hey, yo.
All right, let's get back to the group question. Does he get a second contract if he doesn't get? He's only year 3. He was a first rounder, so I mean, I would imagine they'd pick a fifth year option. But I personally think he gets double digit sacks anyway, so it's kind of a moot point. But what do you guys think? Is he, if he doesn't hit that double digit mark, do we give him a second contract?
He's got to have the reps. If he's in the game and has the reps and has the opportunities to get that, and he doesn't do it, then we start, maybe moving on. But if he's not, the guy that's in there every snap, I mean, I guess you can't really expect him to do that. Von Miller's injury and status has a lot to do with that too. There's healthy. There's a few guys at that position. I think it really depends on the reps he gets, and if he gets half the reps, then maybe half the sacks. I don't know. It doesn't seem that great at that point. So maybe he does have to do that this year, no matter what.
I agree with Mike, but I feel like at what point will things change? So because for the last few years we've been saying like the defensive line is good, but they're just not quite. It's like we're just not quite getting it done. When Von Miller went out, we didn't quite get to the quarterback enough. So it's like so why would we keep paying the same guys to come back to give us the same thing? Like to me, so it's like, yeah, if he doesn't get double digit sacks, to me at this point, I get it. He's a phenomenal player. If we can bring him back on a decent contract, sure. But the contract that I think he's going to get, I draft or sign a free agent for the same amount of money that I know consistently will give me the results that I want. At this point, Groot. First of all, the Groot was projected to be a top 10 draft pick. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. He sat a year out, so he failed to us. But he was projected to be a top 10 draft pick. So the fact that he's coming in as like this, 5-star, and he's not already really, Von should have been the second best defender on that line. Third, really, Oliver is young enough that I feel like Oliver should be there. So I don't know. I wouldn't have given Oliver the contract either, though. But that's just me. I don't know how everybody feels about that. But we're paying these guys that we're drafting that's not getting the job done. But it's like, when are we gonna? Okay, you want to get to the quarterback. Okay, you draft a guy every year. We draft 1 year, one in the first and second round. Still can't do it. All right. So then in free agency, you go out and get Vaughn. Vaughn comes in, it works. We're getting to the quarterback. Great. He gets injured. Guess what? The guys that you drafted, it doesn't work. So go back to free agency. It worked there. Get rid of the guys you drafted. You obviously can't draft guys that gets to the quarterback.
It's true.
So you think it's not just because he's young, you know, he just might not be it.
No, I think he's a good player. It might not be the fit. Maybe maybe they don't know what they're doing on the defensive line, and we give them too much credit. I don't know, but for some reason, you know, you look around the league and you see these guys, these teams draft guys that get to the quarterback. You look at that. I get it. Not everybody can get a Micah Parsons. I get it, but Dallas has no issue getting to the quarterback. You look around. Who are the teams that we got to go through? Kansas City has no issue getting to the quarterback. Their defensive line has no issue getting to the quarterback.
I don't know. They only got, and they lost Frank Clark.
They did lost.
They're extended Chris Jones, but I mean George Karlaftis. I mean he didn't impress me any more than Groot did.
I bet you this year,
his rookie year,
that again they're going to be in the top 10 in sacks. I bet you.
As a team,
they'll be in the top 10 of sacks.
Ooh.
You should bet Casey a pie in the face because he loves that.
Whatever you want to bet, that's how confident I am. I'll bet you whatever you want to bet. Live on air, I will agree to your terms because that's how confident I am that they'll be in the top 10 in sacks as a unit.
Let me do a little bit more digging. We'll have you back on the show. We'll figure it out.
All right. I'm just saying, that's how, because I'm telling you.
Well,
I was started recording a clip. I was going to document this.
Look at
the thing.
The Eagles, you know, the good teams get to the quarterback. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you talking. Go ahead. My bad, man.
No, you're good. But no, even the Eagles, I can't remember who the rookie is. They would not this year, but the year before. He wasn't as big a fact. Typically, defensive linemen, if you look historically, they don't have a major impact their first year or even 2 years. The exceptions being somebody like a Micah Parsons, which to me, Parsons, and this drives me crazy when people use this term, but to me, he is legitimately a generational talent. You don't have guys like that very often, which is why they're called generational talents. This year, to me, for Groot, I don't want to say it's a prove-it year, but I do want to see him take that next step to be the guy. Like we expected Oliver to be the guy by now, and he's not. He needs people around him. Von Miller is that guy, and people around him are more successful because of him. I do want to see that this year out of Groot, so that if a Miller does go down, we're still okay because Groot's going to get to him. He doesn't have to be like Bruce Smith. He doesn't have to be Micah Parsons, but you know, somebody the defenses have to pay attention to. But to expect that right off the bat, I think is too much for a rookie. In most cases.
I mean that, and Groot, and Spence said Groot sat out the year, but he also had only played one full year at defensive end. Before, I believe he was playing like running back or quarterback or something like that. I mean, he wasn't playing defensive end. So, I mean, that he was projected top 10 because of athletic traits. I mean, he's just a monster, you know, in athletic traits. And they could see, I mean, he had 10 sacks in his 1 year he played in 15 games. So they were like, oh my God, you know, if he takes any sort of step forward, he just hasn't taken that step forward yet. So, I mean, like it's in there, but like Ronnie said, I think this like is starting. These next 3 years are like, I mean, it's the prove it year and the prove it years. And they brought in Leonard Floyd for a reason. You know, they dipped back. They dipped back into free agency in case, like because they know he can get to the quarterback, and they know 100%. Only player like in there's 4 or 5 players have 9+ sacks the last 3 years. He's one of them. You know, so he's going to do the job. So I don't know, Groot. This year and the following is going to be very big for him.
Now, one thing I will add to that, and I will say, I do think things will be different for Groot this year. Like I'm very so I'm the bad energy I bring, any type of negativity is from what I've seen in the past. I'm very optimistic, and I'll tell you why. I know a lot of people aren't. I'm even reading the comments. Sean McDermott is the defensive coordinator this year. And I know people think that he's a soft-minded defensive coordinator or defensive-minded coach. I'm just going to tell you, he's a lot more great. I think we'll probably be more upset this year. Like teams will have a lot more bigger plays. Like there will be more large plays because
Yep.
we'll be going for interceptions. We're going to be going to knock the
Yeah.
ball out. We're going to be like, so when you sell out the way that the Bills are going to sell out this year, you're going to have a play where, Trey White is going to just miss an interception and a guy catches it and takes off for 60. It's okay. We're going to have a couple of those this year. It's going to happen. But I'm telling you right now, that
It's worth
defensive line, it's worth it. Yeah.
Mhm.
And
You
you
got
don't
an
bring
offense
in
like we do to rely on,
man.
it's worth it.
Man. And you don't bring in Poona Ford. You don't bring in Floyd. You don't bring in those guys like that unless you're saying, you know what? We want the big guys up front to be beasts, and we want to try to stop the run, and we're going to try to get after the quarterback. And then we want the back end. We want those guys to run free and be hawks. We want them to go after the ball. I'm telling you, it's going to be crazy, man. You
I'm
don't
with
sign
you.
Taylor Rapp.
Yeah.
That's not for depth.
Yep.
It's not depth.
No,
Yep.
no.
Agreed.
I'm
Let me ask you really quick.
Let's go, man.
I can't wait to see the defense. That's the thing I'm most excited about for the season. But really quick, you said that the Chiefs, you guarantee top 5 in sacks. Where do you think Buffalo falls in?
That's at 10.
Assuming
That's
health.
at 10.
Let's assume health.
That's a 10 for the Chiefs. I don't want he gonna really beat me in the bet if it's 5. It's 10. The Bills,
Okay, 10. Sorry.
I think the Bills probably fall somewhere in the middle of the pack, but it's only because Von is not going to be healthy the entire season. I think if Von was healthy, we'd be a top 7 defensive. The guys that we brought in should be able to do it, but I think there's going to be a little bit of growing pains at the beginning because it's a new defense technically. And I know people are saying like Sarah said we were 14th last year, so I feel like we'll kind of be in the same space. But if Von was healthy all year last year, we would have been top 5. Easy.
And sacks or overall defense?
I mean, overall defense and sacks,
Goals?
we would have been top 5. I feel like what were we top? What were we overall for defense?
We were 6th. We
I
were
was
6th
saying
last year. Number
With
6, just
like
outside.
half the starters gone. Let's just be clear about that one.
Right.
With
Yeah,
half
no
the
Micah
starters
Hyde.
missing. No Micah Hyde. No, like
Micah Hyde.
half a Jordan Poyer. Like half a year of Von Miller, half a year of Tre'Davious White, platooning cornerback 2 between 3 players.
Crazy thing
Ed
is,
Oliver, Daquan Jones, everybody missed time.
people still don't recognize that. Like in our fan base.
Yeah. I know.
We
yeah.
lost 3 games by 8 points in the season. Then we lost the last game of the year. Got beat down at home. I get it. So we lost 4 games total last year, and we act like some of us act like the defense. Like, yo,
The sky's
I get
falling.
it. We lost that last game, but yo, man, we were amazing. We were beasts without our top guys.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So really fast because we're way over time. Bills number 4 DVOA on defense. And then Walter here. He thinks crack top 10 in sacks. I would agree with top 10. Yeah, like if everybody's healthy, I wouldn't be shocked if top 5.
I would love to be wrong.
But anyways, we're going to get out of here. We are over time. Again, thank you everybody for joining us today. Again, Mafia Cast. We're on the Buffalo Rumblings Network. Spence, what do you got going on this week? Well, next week, I guess.
I was gonna say this week I'm done. Yes. But next week I have who do I have joining me? Nikki Smokes from Barstool will be joining the Code of Conduct. We're going to be talking obviously Bills and Dolphins. Probably talk some basketball. So he's a Heat fan and his team got beat down in the finals. So I want to talk about that. So but no, so I'll have him on, and then Hump Day is officially back as well. So me and Joe will be back at it next Wednesday. So yeah, just appreciate everybody hanging with Buffalo Rumblers, man. We got a big year coming. Big year.
Mhm.
Yeah, training
Yeah,
camp
we're glad to
opens
be a
next
part of it.
week.
Yeah.
Training camp is about to
Yep.
start. All right. Thank you, everybody. So for the Bill, I can't talk right now. The Mafia Cast. We'll see you all next week, and go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.